2200 hours in Banjul, and this is the news coming to you live from the Gambia Radio and Television Services. In the headlines, the race to State House heats up as the President Barrow-led coalition continues to enumerate its development projects at meetings in Gain Sanja, Kaur, and Fas in the Lower and Upper Salem districts. The flag bearer of People Democratic Party for Independence and Socialism, Honorable Halifa Saleh, continues disclosing their plans, including setting up cooperative banking for Gambians if elected into office. Still on the 2021 campaigns for the State House, Team Turnaround's independent candidate Essa M by Faal enters the Central River region with an ambitious and inclusive development agenda to the electorate. In sports, Tahir Senior Secondary School wins the National Inter-Schools Football Championship title, beating Malada on penalties after a goalless draw at the Summer Mini Stadium. Elsewhere, Bowen shares fall by 1% to $218.50 as lawyers for the victims' families say it will still be held fully accountable with its 2019 crash with dozens of deaths. And 130 countries pledged to reverse deforestation as the COP26 continues in Glasgow with various issues surrounding climate change. Well, these and much more coming ahead in this edition of the news. I am Aisa Tuketa, and thanks for joining us. Well, it's a warm welcome to GRTS News, and we begin this bulletin with election campaign as the President Barrow-led coalition carried out meetings in Gain Sanjal, Kaur and Fas in the Lower and Upper Salem districts in the Central River region north on Thursday. President Barrow continues to enumerate his development projects as the race to the State House intensifies. Mama J is covering the presidential campaign team, and this is her report.
Election campaigns serve as an opportunity for politicians to meet their electorates and canvass for votes. The highly contested race to the State House saw 18 political parties endorse the leader of the NPP, incumbent President Adama Barrow, in the December 4th elections. Day 3 of the campaign began in Gain Sanjan, where the NPP-led coalition held a massive political rally. The people of Sabah Sanjal are grateful to President Adama Barrow for the 14-kilometer road stretching through the village, which is currently under construction. Del Carlo of Gain Sanjan and Musa Fatuba said the community of Sabah Sanjal have never opposed a sitting president. After all, they continue, President Barrow's development projects are clear manifestations for people to vote for him, highlighting his development initiatives one after another. They, however, appeal for health facility and a ferry service at the Sanjal Kanikunda ferry crossing point. Ida Fai, on behalf of the women of Sabah Sanjal, appealed to the president to help them with their horticultural garden, provision of water and electricity supply, and factory to preserve and process their tomatoes. Other speakers included Masani Kijera and Fatu Fai, who all echoed similar sentiments. Diaspora women leader Maimuna Sise Dabo reminded civil servants that although it is their constitutional right to vote, they should not involve in political activities, and warned those civil servants who are allegedly trying to undermine President Adama Barrow's government to desist from the act. The Minister of Tourism and leader of the NRP, Hamad Ba, called on the community of Sabah Sanjal to vote massively for President Adama Barrow in the December 4th elections. 7 motorbikes were presented to the youths of Sabah Sanjal by the president, who promised to construct over 1,000-kilometer routes, in addition to the current routes that have already been constructed by his government. Kaur in the Lower Salem district is believed to be the regional capital of CRR North, and the community there wants the president to help them with a ferry service and upgrade Kaur to have a governor of its own, said Alkali Mustafa Njai. Ami Toure, on behalf of the women, appealed to the president to support them in their vegetable gardens, provide them with portable water supply and milling machine for the women, while the National Assembly member for Lower Salem, Honorable Seni Jawara, Iliman Ba, Njai Sise and Matar Sise called on the president to provide the youth with employment opportunities and assure the president of a landslide victory in the December elections. 35 UDP supporters during the meeting cross-carpet to the NPP, while 175 supporters of the APP, including the party's youth mobilizer, shift allegiance to the NPP. One of the NPP supporters, Ali Sach, donated 5 new motorbikes meant to support youths in the area, which were presented by the President, His Excellency Adam Barrow. There, the Minister of Tourism and leader of the NRP, Honorable Ahmad Ba, called on the opposition to join the NPP coalition, adding that there is no way the opposition can penetrate the people of Lower Salem. President Adama Barrow continued to enumerate his work before Gambians and prospective voters to garner more support and vote ahead of the December elections. The Gambian leader believed the campaign is a stock-taking moment for him, and according to him, he has fulfilled all his last campaign promise to the Gambian people, and that it is now time for the Gambians to reward him with their votes in the upcoming elections. First, in the Upper Salem district, wrap up the day for the NPP-led coalition with an impressive meeting. The Alcalde of Fars, Mod Omar Salah, appealed for a new mosque since, according to him, the current mosque in the village was built in 1969 and need to be renewed. For the women of Upper Salem, campaigns are constitutional rights for any presidential candidate. Otherwise, there is no need for President Adama Barrow to embark on such journey, for according to the women, the president has already won the elections, assuring the NPP leader that the people of Upper Salem will never surrender to the opposition. Women mobilizers Salaba, Amilo, and Alhaji Esanjai all assure the president of their votes. The National Assembly member for Upper Salem, Alhaji Mbo, described President Barrow as a man of peace with democratic values and principles, and more importantly, a development-oriented leader who should be given another chance to continue the good work he has started. For President Adama Barrow, who is impressed with the crowd, urged the electorate to translate the crowd into votes in the December 4th presidential elections. Mama J, GRTS.
The Secretary General and Standard Bearer of People Democratic Party for Independence and Socialism, Honorable Halifa Saleh, has continued with his political message, disclosing his party's plans, which include the establishment of cooperative banking as a means of productive venture for the citizens if elected into office. Honorable Halifa Saleh made the pledge during sport meetings in various communities within the Kanifing municipality before embarking on a nationwide. Yero Jala has the rest of the story.
Speaking during sports meetings in Talinding, Fajikunda, Tabokoto, Wellingara, Nemakunku, and Abuko, Honorable Halifa Saleh further told his supporters that under a DOI-led government, it would ensure villages and wards have treasury where all taxes and rates collected from their areas are deposited for the development of their areas. He noted that the only way to eradicate poverty in the country is to formulate sound economic policies and programs that would ensure that people live a life of liberty, dignity, and prosperity. Saleh said the cooperative state would maintain community-based health system where residents in communities would be trained to handle first aid such as taking blood pressure, temperature, measuring blood sugar, and other primary services before referral to major, minor health centers, district, and regional hospitals. The PDOIS flag bearer promised that the PDOIS-led government will introduce a housing scheme for people to pay at low cost of good quality. Meanwhile, in a separate but similar engagement, the All People's Party on Thursday endorsed Halifa Saleh, the presidential candidate for DOI for the 4th December elections. The meeting for the announcement of the endorsement of the PDOIS candidate was held at the DOI head office in Churchill Town. In a brief statement, the leader of All People's Party, Dr. Ibrahim Jan, described Honorable Halifa Saleh as undoubtedly the most consistent among all the presidential candidates.
This is done in a spirit of mutual advantage. The two parties have seen our uniqueness. This is the landmark history in Gambia. were intellectuals, people who have a track record of being selfless in their seek to bring this country out of its poverty. There is no question in my mind, and probably in most Gambians who are aware of the track record of Halifa, that they will question his ability to rule this country. We are confident that we are doing the right thing. APP and DOI are in unique partner. The partner with technocrats, with people who are able, who have the foresight, who have the competence to lead this country. And we pray Allah will help us. Of course, we are not in this to fill our pockets. We are here in this job to take Gambian and the Gambians out of poverty.
He mentioned that Salah has set a track record for himself in the political career. He went further to say that Honorable Halifa Sallah cannot be compared to any of the presidential candidates. The Secretary General and Standard Bearer for the PDOIS party, Honorable Halifa Sallah, who also doubled as the lawmaker for Serekunda, hailed the move as timely, describing it as a step in the right direction.
The APP executive expressed unalloyed commitment to endorse the very presidential candidate and gave assurance of their determination to mobilize Gambians at home and the diaspora to campaign for change, to eradicate poverty, injustice, and ignorance. The very presidential candidate expressed appreciation that the coalition is being founded on the basis of mutually agreed terms and principles to give hope to our people for a better and fair Gambia. He gave the following assurances that would be incorporated in the agreement: serve only one term, include APP in an inclusive cabinet, and award no less than 2 cabinet posts based on the coalition building process that may continue. Prevent any abuse of incumbency in Dwight's favor in any subsequent elections after the 5-year term.
His part, the national chairman of the PDOIS party, Honorable Sidia Jata, said the agreement between DOI and APP is not characterized by bringing people together and sharing position, but they came together purposely to build a society that is free from poverty, ignorance, and injustice. The campaign trail continues. For GRTS News, this is Sierra Jallo reporting.
Now, independent candidate Essa M Faal of Team Turnaround entered the Central River region on Friday after a night stop in Farafenni North Bank region. The independent and first-time presidential candidate presents an ambitious and inclusive development agenda to the electorates as he embarks on his campaign trail ahead of the December presidential election, while that story by Ibrahim Jallo will air in our subsequent news bulletins. Still on election matters, barely 3 weeks before the country heads to the polls, amid high expectations among electorates, 6 nominated presidential candidates on Thursday signed a code of conduct. This is done to ensure a peaceful election process during and after the December 4th presidential election. Baba Sila was at the ceremony held at the Sadauda Kairaba International Conference Center and prepares this extended report.
It is the first time in the political history of the by both signatories and electoral stakeholders as a major step in the course to strengthen democratic dispensation with a fair and effective electoral process. The Electoral Code of Conduct signed by all 6 parties contesting the election is designed to guide nominated presidential aspirants during and after the elections. 6 presidential candidates were all present or represented by party delegates except DOI, starting with United Democratic Party, which was represented by its leader Usaini Dabo. Independent candidate Essa Faal was there for the Turnaround Sobeya movement, and the Gambia Democratic Congress was represented by its deputy party leader Amadou Ka. The incumbent National People's Party was represented by the Minister of Trade Sidi Keita and Ibrahim Abdullah Jammeh, the leader of the National Unity Party, on behalf of his party. The Secretary General and party leader of the DOI, Honorable Halifa Sallah, was not present at the signing ceremony, but his endorsement of the code was confirmed by election officials. Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambers, the eminent observer and current special UN representative for West Africa and the Sahel, acted as the local facilitator of the process. Dr. Chambers commended the candidates for signing the historic document to ensure a peaceful and democratic election process.
Elections are important mechanisms in democratic and peace processes of every nation. This year's presidential elections is unique as it is taking place in a new democratic space. This offers hope to the Gambian people. The challenges facing the Gambian political process are typical of most transitional democracies in the region. World over, electioneering periods are often marked by increased tensions. All these need to be well managed.
Honorable Elizabeth Rena, another local facilitator of the Election Code of Conduct, read the document's crucial preamble, which was followed by the signing of the agreement by presidential hopefuls.
We, the candidates to the December 4th, 2021 presidential elections in the Republic of the Gambia, having been duly certified by the Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, to contest the election, met at the Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara International Conference Center on this 11th day of November 2021 at the instance of the Gambian populace, based on persistent demand to secure peaceful elections and the judicial resolution of electoral disputes.
After appending their signatures on the most crucial document in the country's political history, candidates took to the podium to explain their stand.
In our struggle for the past 22 years, I would have thought that those political parties that signed this agreement today, or this code of conduct today, would never have been called upon to do so because of our past. That we would just have developed the tradition of conducting elections in the way that is thought to be the practice. I think we should now be developing traditions rather than codifying everything. I have not seen any code directing the conduct of elections in the First Republic.
As a young diplomat, I have worked in situations in which we tried to put together rules in order to avert potential post-election violence. I recall also working as a lawyer in a peacekeeping operation in which that country was badly affected by post-election violence. And I saw firsthand what that could mean for any developing country.
Democracy, peaceful elections, all requires a collective work, collective responsibility. Here we are today as leaders and candidates contesting for the 2021 presidential elections, who bear the greater responsibility for this code that we are talking about. But every single soul in this country, being a citizen of the country or a guest in the country, have a role to play in the preservation of our peace and also in the observance of a peaceful election.
We as a party, that's the National Unity Party, our subscription to this code of conduct is total. In fact, it's a reflection of a code that we have adopted internally as a party. If anyone is a visitor to our platform, our media platform, you realize that these are the very values that we advocate. So I say thank you very much, and that we are very happy to have appended our signature as a party to this agreement?
Prior to coming to this meeting, the brief I have from my principal, His Excellency, the President of the Republic, Barrow, is that he fully subscribes to this code of ethics and will live by it. So with that, we begin our deliberation, and basically it's saying that this signing ceremony, indeed, as has been mentioned, is the first of its kind, that the nominated and approved candidates are coming together to sign a code of ethics.
This initiative was pioneered by the Ministry of Justice with support from the International Institute of Democracy and Electoral Assistance that seeks to ensure elections are conducted in a climate of peace and tolerance, protected under values guarded by nominated candidates and their supporters before and after election processes. For GRTS News, I am Baba Silla.
Well, we will go back to our earlier mentioned story by Ibrahim Ajala, who is currently with the independent candidate Essa M Faal of Team Tom and Around. Let's take a look.
Essa M Faal, with his Turn Around campaign slogan, crossed into the North Bank region on Thursday evening and spent the night in the North Bank region's town of Rafenya. This morning, his motorcade drove through the town flanked by cheerful supporters, mostly women and youth, who vowed to vote Team Essa M Faal in the highly anticipated December polls. As his convoy progresses, the Sobea leader had brief stops in some communities in the North Bank and Central River Region North, including Gayan Sanjel and Sarakunda, before addressing a crowd of supporters at a rally in Kau. Essa M Faal promised to use a chunk of the public wealth.
So len buge sen domi suñ wacce school ñi am liggéey so len buge sen xalé yi sen njabot suñ febaré ñu faj leen so len buge njëgi dund gi wacce wañeku da ngeen ñoo sanil carte December 4.
Essa M Faal promised to use a chunk of the public wealth to provide better health care services, quality education, water and electricity supply to the people in the area and the country at large. He also vowed to lower the cost of living and increase salaries of civil servants for sustainable livelihood. Mr. Faal, an independent candidate, is vying for the presidency for the first time. He claimed a government under his leadership will tackle corruption and enhance economic growth. In keeping with sound campaign ethics, Essa M Faal urges his supporters to embrace peace and tolerance. According to him, politics of ideas is the way forward, and not otherwise.
Expect from everybody my best behavior. You respect ñi nga xam ne ñoom la ñoo fekk. Ba pare respect loi bi ñu ngi ànd ak police. Dañ wara am the best of behavior. Suñ bëggee wane ne ñun suñ team can rule this country. Dañ wara wane ne dinañ respect loi, dinañ respect ni. So kuñ ci provoque sax bul ton. Ñu ngi am suñ own code of conduct. Te pare tam démb ñu ngi sign a code of conduct boo xam ne wane na ne ñun ñëpp dañ war a respectante. Dañ war a ànd ak loi am yar. Buñ saaga kenn buñ tooñ kenn buñ gunoo buñ xeex amul jam xeer amul loolu politique boobu xeewi na nekk politique yi ideas understand nga ma so ñun utuñ riir gu bëri riir gu rëy lu ñoo ut mooy dem mun a wax ak nit ñoo xam ne dinañ mun a wax ak ñeneen.
The campaign trail continues. Ibrahima Jallow, GRTS News.
While the Director General of the State Intelligence Service and delegation have been meeting local authorities and community leaders as part of a countrywide security assessment tour, SIS DG Usman Sow and team also visited this 2 Infantry Battalion in Farafenye. Led by the battalion commander, Officer Lieutenant Colonel Ibrahim Kurubali, DG SOW inspected key installations including the newly built Amori sponsored by the SIS to strengthen capacity and to improve the security condition of the Farafenye camp. The soldiers hailed the efforts of this country's intelligence chief in improving the conditions of various security outfits. During the visit, DG SOW also offered to immediately work with Army Command to repair the battalion's mobility vehicles. In addition to these interventions to strengthen the security response capacity, the SIS Director General extended similar support to the police in Farafenye by swiftly offering to repair the police operations, which is expected to be utilized to increase visibility and robust presence and patrols in the region ahead of the elections. During a brief meeting with the soldiers, the Kurubali thanked and described DG SOW as the moral booster of the security services for his consistent support to the services, especially Farafenye Barracks. In response, DG SOW thanked the soldiers for their continuous sacrifice and dedication to duty. He urged them to maintain high morals in the face of numerous challenges while advising the soldiers to continue collaborating and coordinating their activities with other security services and to remain vigilant. In a separate event, DG SOW, accompanied by the SIS Director of Reforms, Orientation and Legal Affairs, Honorable Lamin Jadama, held a radio talk show at the Paradise FM in Farafenye, which provided the SIS DG the opportunity to share with the public, especially those in Farafenye and surrounding villages, the purpose of the tour. DG SOW reiterated the importance of peace and security, citing recent improvement of security environment in Kerpate and satellite areas due to the presence of security services in the said village. The people of the area admitted to having a high sense of security as criminal activities in the area have drastically reduced. The SIS DG added that the service wants the same to be replicated in all the regions, especially those prone to cross-border crimes. Regarding the election, DG SOW advised Gambians to exercise restraint, tolerance, social cohesion and harmony during the election period. The release ends. Now, the Global Action Agenda for Innovation in Agriculture is bent on increasing investment in agricultural research and innovation to create more climate-resilient, low-emission technologies and practices. The Agriculture Minister, Ami Fabure, is participating in conversations around valuable food systems and ways to promote sustainable agriculture for thousands of livelihoods depending on it to survive. Fatu Elika Mulushi gets up more from Glasgow at the COP26.
The 1992 Rio Earth Summit gave rise to the 3 Rio Conventions: the Convention on Biological Diversity, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. Negative and unsustainable agricultural practices limit the attainment of these frameworks, as well as the Agenda 2030. Talks on food systems come amid initiatives to improve rich biodiversity, more greener environments, which would become as a result of reduction of fossil fuels and greenhouse gases, and emanating from the employment of smart agriculture as well as nature-based solutions.
Planting on their bare land is the solution for the small-scale farmers, but using machineries and others, that also can cause a lot of problems. So smart agriculture is the solution.
The Agriculture Minister is amplifying the message on sustainable agriculture for growth and maximizing possibilities for smooth environment talks to protect livelihoods of thousands who depend on land and the ecosystems to sustain a living.
Without adequate food system in the country, we could not be self-sufficient in food production. So it is interlinked to climate change. That's why we're here today to attend this session, because climate change is real. Without addressing climate change issues in the Gambia, we cannot be self-sufficient in food production, because we have seen that the flood has affected our small-scale farmers, the drought, and even storm.
The infrastructure and processes involved in food systems do not only include the production and consumption, but the structures involved involved to get that done. Nations move towards a greener economy. The use of land and other ecosystems to provide basic food commodities must be done in line with international recommendations to prevent biodiversity losses amongst severe impacts. Joe Bongay is an activist concerned with the use of plastics, which further derails soil nutrients, exacerbates the climate challenges due to its production of greenhouse gas that has a ripple effect on food security.
We're pushing for more capacity building and finance, and we're also pushing for more technology transfer as well, whereby our farmers, local farmers, will be able to adapt to the effects of climate change, and as well as safeguard their lands, and also push forward a more mechanized farming whereby they don't need to import toxic food that are coming from other rich countries.
Whilst nations are negotiating in the corridors, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, is making a deliberate effort to promote a public-private partnership using local technology with a hope in rural economies and their potential to boost in food systems.
My expectation and hope is that we make real decisions at COP and real action that will help support world's smallholder farmers to adapt to climate change, improve their livelihoods, and improve their food security.
COP26 is filled with different agendas, all bent on a common ground to facing climate change in the most innovative ways, using 21st century technology and innovation to drive key ambitions. As the curtains draw closer, the global agricultural agenda is to ensure at least a third of agricultural research and innovation investments deliver demand-driven solutions across food systems to protect nature and limit climate change. Reporting from Glasgow, United Kingdom, Fatu Elika Mloshi.
Fatu Elika Maloche there. Now, operatives of the Gambia Police Force arrested 4 Senegalese and a Gambian for allegedly involving in money counterfeiting around Kersering. The perpetrators have allegedly printed over 300,000 Gambian dollars and 1 million CFA of all fake notes, while Farmer Abaji was at the Koti police station where the culprits are detained and helping the police in their investigations.
This is the end of the road for these money doublers, illegally circulating counterfeit monies within Gambian markets. The group of 5 individuals, including a Gambian and 4 Senegalese, are in the police net for trying to circulate 1 million CFA and $300,000 in fake notes that have been cut and designed to the size of the real notes, alongside an additional stock of $65,400 in fake notes yet to be cut.
These people have not got any money into the public yet, because what happened is they were on the verge of selling this money to some third-party buyers, and so the police were able to arrest those buyers together with them as well. So that means that the money is not yet in the market.
The fake money printers use special A4 size printers ordered from Senegal with capacity to process multiple colors to print out fake Gambian and Senegalese banknotes. The group was preparing to sell the money to a Gambian collaborator for half of the amount they possessed. Police is calling for public vigilance to stay ahead of fake money agents and distributors circulating notes in markets across the country.
When they receive money, they need to be vigilant to understand that they could also do their quick checks to see if these monies are authentic or not. Because if you look at some of these fake currencies, the paper that they use to produce it are usually very smooth, unlike the authentic money that we have. They are smoother than the authentic money. So that might be one thing that you can do to be able to raise alarm in case you suspect that this money is not authentic.
Landlords are a crucial element in the process, with crimes taking place within rented compounds.
We want to send message to the general public, especially landlords, to be vigilant. When they have strangers, they need to also be monitoring what activities those strangers are doing in their compounds or in their rented properties, so that if they are into this kind of activities, they can be reported on time before damage is already done.
Investigations into the matter continue, and police say they are planning to arraign the perpetrators before the courts to face possible charges of attempted felony and possession of forged banknotes, economic crimes, and counterfeiting. Farmer Abaji, CRTS News.
We go for a short break. The news continues in a moment. Do stay. Meanwhile, Tahir Senior Secondary School laid hands on the National Inter-Schools Football Championship title in the recently concluded National School Football Competition. They did so with a win over Malada on penalties after a stalemate goalless draw in the regulation time at the Soma Mini Stadium. Famarabaji.
This was the first appearance of both Tahir Senior Secondary School and Malada Senior Secondary School in the finals of the School Football Championship. As such, both sides applied a cautious approach, mainly targeting gaps to exploit in what was a static first-half football. It took 39 minutes for the game to witness the first clear-cut chance, when the Tahir goalkeeper did well to deny Malada from close range. And in the stoppage time going into the intervals, Tahir responded with a similar attack, but Sekou Barrow had his attempt saved in a one-on-one situation by the Malada custodian. The second period, though, saw some neat and free-flowing football, coupled with some good scoring chances from both ends. Malada's Amadou Kante threatened with a shot which was saved, and Tahir responded through a free kick from Mamadou Lamine Cham, which was equally well saved. With the clock running down, Tahir tried to stage a late rally as Aboubacar Touré saw his efforts from close range clip up the post. And in the opposing end, Malada also launched a quick attack, and substitute Adam Abba flashes shot wide from close range as the two teams settled for a barren draw, which took the game into a penalty shootout. Tahir's Mikel Mendy was the hero in the shootout as he saved two shots from Ansumana Sonko and Sadio Biai. And Musa Manku stood up to fire home the winning penalty to earn Tahir a 4-3 win and their first title in the School Football Championship.
But this is a victory that we have been dreaming for. We have been going for Gala football since 2016. But this is the first time we are winning this trophy. So definitely the feeling right now, even you can see, everybody is feeling excited. Likewise, I, the coach. It's a record, a history that will remain forever in the school. Everybody is going to remember this. Some of the players have just started their grade 12, so they believe in. I believe this is a legacy for them.
It was the first time school authorities played the School Football Championship in the Lower River region, a move they describe as decentralizing the championship.
We thought it wise that as far as our constituents are not only in the combos, they are all over the country. We have schools all over the country. So we'll try to regionalize our activities. So if we have facilities in all over the regions, every year we'll be going from one region to the other. And we expect and we hope and pray GF has their projects into the provinces to make sure that every region has a standard field, so that our activities, which is school sports, football activities, will also be decentralized across the country.
Malada Senior Secondary School as runners-up went home with $25,000, and for the champions Tahir, they received the crown and $50,000 winners prize. Famarabaji, GRTS News.
And now to end the news, a look at our top stories once again. The race to the State House is heating up as the President Barrow-led coalition continues to enumerate its development projects at meetings in Gain Sanjal, Kawur and Fas in the Lower and Upper Salem districts. The flag bearer of People Democratic Party for Independence and Socialism, DOI, Honorable Alifa Saleh, has been disclosing their plans, including setting up of cooperative banking for Gambians if elected into office. Still on the 2021 campaign for State House, Team Turnaround's Essa M Faal has entered the Central River region with an ambitious and inclusive development agenda to the electorate. In sports, Tahir Senior Secondary School are the winners of the National Inter-Schools Football Championship title, beating Malada on penalties after a goalless draw at the Soma Mini Stadium. Elsewhere, Bowen shares fell by 1% to $218.50 as lawyers for the victims' families say it will still be held fully accountable over its 2019 crash with dozens of deaths. And 130 countries have pledged to reverse deforestation as the COP 2016 continues in Glasgow with various issues surrounding climate change. Well, that was all we had time for in today's edition of GRTS News. From me and the entire news team, thanks for the pleasure of your company and stay tuned to watching GRTS.